breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
A warmer friendly hello, welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends, Jovan Alford. He does such great work over at Total Sports Live. Additionally, he does a great job with taking a look at this great game of baseball over at Fansided as well. We're going to chat with him about what he's all seen here in the first 2 weeks of the season. He is out there in the wonderful state of Pennsylvania, so certainly have to take a look at what the Phillies have done, positive and negative, thus far this season. We'll see if he's got any plays for Thursday as well. In the final segment, going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters CM, they mean does not matter, so per usual, please send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Well, I did not get in any Twitter/X questions today. We had a fun day of baseball on Wednesday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
The Slam Diego Padres get the job done against the Pittsburgh Pirates, this by a count of 8-2, as Jake Cronenworth was able to get his first home run of the campaign off of Justin Lawrence. That after Mitch Keller was really good. 6 scoreless innings. From there, Lawrence still pulled the game, 4 runs, 3 of which weren't given up in his inning of work. Jose Urquidy was not a whole lot better. 4 runs given up in his 2 innings, only 1 of which was earned. There were a trio of errors out there in the field that hurt both Lawrence and Urquidy, so both guys were negatively impacted there. And Michael King, he was the king of going 6 innings, giving up 2 runs. From there, Kyle Hart, Jeremiah Estrada, Mason Miller, all able to lend a scoreless inning. For the Cleveland Guardians, their offense was able to get going as well. Been a little bit of a rough go of it for them at the plate, but now up to 8-5 as they get a 10-2 win over the Kansas City Royals. Cole Ragans hit by a comebacker. He was having a little bit of a shaky start to start with, but you hate to see that from 3 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. Tried to pitch through it, just was unable to do so. From there, Luinder Avila gives up 1 run over the course of 3 innings. Steven Cruz, well, he cruised his way to giving up 5 runs in 1 1/3 innings, including a home run. Going deep, it was home run number 1 of the campaign for Anel Martinez, and on the flip side for the Cleveland Guardians, they were able to get a nice start out of Joey Cantillo. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in 5 2/3 innings. Connor Brogdon, 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Eric Sabrowski, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Matt Fessa, he had a fiesta, 1 1/3 innings scoreless, and you did have 2 1/3 innings as well from Alex Lang. He gives up 1 run along the way, and then a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless from one Mr. Tyler Tolbert, that is the backup second baseman. So for the Royals, not necessarily what they had in mind there. This is exactly what the Texas Rangers had in mind. Blanking the Seattle Mariners, 3-0 the finals. The Mariners 4-9 to begin the season. They just have not been able to get a lot of offense in general. Of the 10 guys that had an at-bat in this game, 6 of them hitting a $143 or lower right now. And for Texas, not like they had a ton of offense, but what they did have was Mackenzie Gore going 1 hit, 9 punch-outs, and 5 scoreless innings. Chris Martin, Cole Winn, they both give you a scoreless inning, and you're able to get 2 scoreless out of Luis Carvalho. Meanwhile, for Seattle, Brian Wu said woohoo to give it up just 1 earned run over the course of 5 innings. He did give up a pair of unearned runs, as Connor Joe out there in the field did not help his cause with an error. From there, Jose Ferrer, Edward Bazardo, Gabe Spire, all lend a scoreless inning, but nothing doing at the plate for Seattle. Whole heck of a lot doing for these guys. So as for St. Louis, they take down the Washington Nationals by a count of 6-1. Miles Michaelis, facing his old team, gives up 2 runs over the course of 3 innings. Then Brad Lord says, oh Lord, to giving up a solo home run in his 3 innings of work, as Jordan Walker was able to get his 5th home run of the campaign. From there, Cionel Perez gives up a run in an inning. Cole Henry, 2 runs allowed in 1 2/3 innings. PJ Poulin in out of the bullpen scoreless, and Michael McGreevy, just 1 strikeout, but only 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. Justin Brule, Matt Savanson combined for 2 scoreless innings, and Riley O'Brien, he was able to post up a scoreless inning of his own. The Houston Astros get swept by the Colorado Rockies. That's not a great look. And hey, the Rockies are 6-6, 9-1. They're able to take down the Astros as Christian Javier. He goes just 1 inning. He gives up 1 run. From there, AJ Blueball, he comes in long relief. 5 runs allowed over the course of his inning of work. Anya de los Santos, 2 innings pitch. He gives up a solo home run as Hunter Goodman, 2nd home run of the campaign. Christian Roa, he gives up a run in 1 2/3 innings. Kaiwei Tang, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Brian Abreu, he gives up a run in an inning. And Michael Lorenzen, nice start here. 1 run allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Zach Ognos, 3 1/3 innings scoreless to be able to get a very, very long save. And For the Blue Jays, they need to try to save this series against the LA Dodgers, and they were able to do so. 4-3, the Blue Jays do get the job done. They go 3 of 13 with men in scoring position as Shohei Ohtani, great start. 1 unearned run given up in 6 innings. From there, Jack Dreyer gives up 2 runs in a third of an inning. Blake Treinen, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Ben Casparis gives up a run in an inning, while Dylan Cease, well, he doesn't cease to amaze. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in 5 innings. Louis Varland, a scoreless inning. Mason Fluharty does give up a run in a third of an inning, but you did have from there Jeff Hoffman be able to give you a scoreless inning, 5 outs out of the bullpen from Tyler Rogers to be able to get the job done. As for the LA Dodgers, they do strand 11 men on base. And for the Baltimore Orioles, you had a very bad blunder by Kyle Bradish that led to a few runs being scored, but still the Orioles find a way to get the job done. 5-3, the final as Bradish, he had a catch and a throwing error on the same play that led to him giving up 3 runs, 2 of which were earned, but I mean, he was responsible for them. From there, the bullpen was solid, though. Grant Wolfram, along with Rico Garcia, Anthony Nunez, coupled with Tyler Wells were all able to lend a scoreless inning. For Sean Burke, not a bad start here. Gives up 2 runs over the course of 5 innings. Lucas Sims gives up 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in a third of an inning. Brian Hudson, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Sean Newcomb at scoreless inning. Jordan Nix, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. And then you had 1 and a third innings from Tyler Schweitzer. Hopefully I got that correct. That sounds like a name that I would recognize from the great state of Wisconsin. He gave up a run along the way as well. And then you had plenty of scoring from the Arizona Diamondbacks. 7-2. They're able to take down the New York Mets. David Peterson, love the last name. Do not love the fact that he gave up 5 runs over the course of 5 innings. Sean Manaea in long relief gives up 2 runs over the course of 4 innings, and Ryan Nelson gives up just 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. From there, Andrew Hoffman gives up a run in 2 innings. Ryan Thompson and out of the bullpen scoreless, and Taylor Clark was able to lend a scoreless inning as the Snakes, they go 4 of 10 with men in scoring position, and the Atlanta Braves go out there and they romp the Angels. 8-2 the final. The Braves offense looks back in full force as for Matt Olson gets his 3rd home run on the campaign. That comes off of Reed Detmers, who gives up 6 runs, 5 of which were earned in 4 1/3 innings. Ryan Zephyrian from there, 2 runs allowed in 1 1/3 innings. Sam Bachman was able to give you a scoreless inning. Brent Suter, 2 scoreless innings. And then Jose Suarez, nice long relief, 2 scoreless innings. Grant Holmes, he does give up a home run. 2 runs a total over the course of 6 2/3 innings. Jorge Soler, he's got a nice suspension pending for the fight that he had with Ronaldo Lopez, but he's able to play in this game. 3rd home run in the campaign. Joel Payamson out of the bullpen scoreless as well. So the Braves, they do find a way to persevere, and so do the San Francisco Giants. 5-0. They're able to take down the Philadelphia Phillies. Jovan is based out there in the great city of Philadelphia, so we'll talk about them a little bit more on the flip side. But for Aaron Nola, another rough start. 3 runs allowed in 6 innings, including a home run to Rafael Devers. 2nd home run of the campaign. From there, Jose Alvarado, 2 runs, 1 of which was earned in 2/3 of an inning. You had Jonathan Bolin give you a scoreless innings at Pop, and out of the bullpen scoreless. And Tyler Mahle does walk 4, but 5 2/3 innings scoreless. Matt Gage, Caleb Killian both give you a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Blade Tidwell and Eric Miller, they're both able to turn a scoreless inning. The Boston Red Sox, they were able to turn plenty of scoreless innings. They take down the Milwaukee Brewers, this by a count of 5-0. As for the Brewers, they trotted out there one of the main pieces from the trade that they had with the Red Sox, Shane Drone, for his MLB debut, and not necessarily what he was hoping for. 2 2/3 innings, gives up 3 runs, all of which were earned. From there, Jake Woodford, 3 innings in long relief, does give up 2 runs, all of which were earned. Grant Anderson, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Aaron Ashby, a scoreless inning, but Sonny Gray was just on it. 6 1/3 innings scoreless. Greg Weiser, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless. You had Ryan Watson supply a scoreless inning, and then Tyler Semenijo, hopefully I got that correct, he was able to lend a scoreless inning as well. And then for the Chicago Cubs, they were able to lend themselves a nice road win, 6-2. They're able to take down the Tampa Bay Rays as Joe Boyle did not roll. 6 runs, 5 of which were earned in 4 1/3 innings. So you did have 4 2/3 innings of long relief scoreless from Jesse Schultens. That was pretty nice. And for the Chicago Cubs, Colin Reyes had hit Parade to giving up just 1 run in 5 innings. Hobie Milner, a scoreless inning out of the bullpen. Same goes for Hunter Harvey. Ben Brown does give up a run in his 2 innings, but you also had Nico Horner go deep off of Boyle, his 1st home run of the campaign. For the Miami Marlins, they get the job done against the Cincinnati Reds, this by a count of 7-4. Brady Singer was singing the blues. 6 runs, 5 of which were earned in 2 2/3 innings. Taken deep by Griffin Conine, 2nd home run of the campaign. Yuri Perez does give up 4 runs in 5 innings, only 2 of which was earned. He was hurt by a fielding error, but that said, Sal Stewart did take him deep for his 3rd home run on the campaign. From there, Ryan Gusto, Andrew Nardi, Lake Picard, Michael Peterson, great name, all lend a scoreless inning, and Pierce Johnson scoreless inning for the Reds. Sam Moll, 2 1/3 innings scoreless, and Connor Phillips was taken deep, solo home run hit by Connor Norby, 1st home run on the campaign, but gives up just 1 run over the course of 2 innings. You did see the Minnesota Twins wallop the Detroit Tigers, this by a count of 8-6, as for Framber Valdez, he allows scoreless, all 8 runs in this game off of 10 hits. For the Minnesota Twins, 5 of 13 with men in scoring position. Bailey Ober, not a bad start here. 2 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings. From there, Justin Topa out of the bullpen scoreless. Anthony Banda did not look great in this game. 4 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning, but Cole Sands, he's able to give it out of the bullpen scoreless. And then Cody Funderburk, coupled with one Mr. Cody Lawyerson, they were able to combine for 2 scoreless innings, and Tigers' bullpen was actually able to do their part. You had a scoreless inning in this one from Emmanuel De Jesus, Kyle Finnegan, Will Vest. They both also supply a scoreless inning, but by then the damage had very much been done, and quite a bit of damage done by the Athletics to the New York Yankees. 3-2. They do find a way to be able to get the job done in this game, as you had Luis Severino against his old team get 7 punch-outs, 2 runs allowed in 5 innings, did walk 5, as the Yankees, they go just 1 of 7 with men in scoring position, and the A's, they do leave 11 men on base. Will Warren gives up 2 runs over the course of 4 2/3 innings. From there, Tim Hill, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless. Camilo Udval, Brent Hedrick, both give up nothing in their innings of work, but David Bennar does allow a run in the 9th inning, as for the A's, Brent Rooker was able to get a sac fly, as the A's were actually down 2-0 early on in this game, but claw their way back. Scott Barlow, 5 outside the bullpen scoreless. Hogan Harris was able to come in for a pair of outside the bullpen scoreless, along with Elvis Alvarado. Joel Kuhnel, he provides a scoreless inning, and for the Yankees, they got both of their runs in the first inning. So the A's, they were able to hold the 2nd through 9th inning scoreless, and if you are taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in baseball right now, it has been a little bit of an up-and-down season for favorites. Favorites started out really strong, down to hitting at just 54.2% on the money line right now, 96-81, and among those 96 wins for favorites, 14 have been by 1 run to not cover the run line. Overall, the over rate is right around about 51%, 89 overs to 86 unders. We have seen a few pushes along the way as well. I believe we've had 5 in total, and if you look at the last 7 days in Major League Baseball, even with the colder temperatures, we've been having quite a few overs, 47 overs to 40 unders. Meanwhile, in that time span, favorites just 42 and 46 on the money line. So that's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're all getting trend-wise. Coming next, how about if we head on over to the great city of Philadelphia to chat with our good friend Jovan Alford right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the Beats and Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball, this is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Great to be joined by this man, as Jovan Alford does such a great job taking a look at this wonderful game of baseball. I know he joins our friends over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Adam Rosenberg and company, quite a bit. He does great work over at Total Sports Live, Fansided, and so much more. You're able to follow him on the old Twitter/X at Jovan, the number 10 altogether. And Jovan, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Always glad to be on with you, Greg. Every time we talk, it's always about baseball, and there's always a lot of fun stuff. And this season, through the first 2 weeks, have just been, I think, just exceeded all expectations, no matter who you're a fan of. So excited to be on with you.
I'm right there with you. And just what have been some of your biggest takeaways from the first few weeks of the season? Because obviously automatic balls and strikes have been a lot of the rage of what we've seen here in the first few weeks, but we've also seen some good performances, and we've seen some teams looking at you, the Red Sox, who have not gotten off to great starts.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, ABS hasn't been going well. If your name is CB Buckner, it hasn't gone well for ABS. But outside of that, a few things that, have caught my attention the first couple of weeks. Obviously, we got the rookie class, man. The rookie class has just been tremendous. I think we kind of knew what it had the potential to be by just looking at the betting odds, and you just see everybody stacked up and you just see the names and you're like, can this class come through? Because we've seen classes before with a bunch of names and some of them don't hit that marker, but this class has just been tremendous. I mean, Kevin McGonigal, Manetta, Murakami, the Southside Samurai, Connor Griffin, Andrew Painter, Sal Stewart, Nolan McLean. There's so much talent. JJ Weatherholt. I mean, this rookie class has just been tremendous, man. So got to shout out that rookie class. Jordan Walker I've been very impressed with him to start this season. I think people forget that he's only 23 years old. I know his career didn't start off the best, but he's starting to really come into his own, which I think that's great for that Cardinals club, especially as they kind of start and turn, into a new era, having him playing well, hitting the ball hard, hitting home runs, that power starting to come at the right time. So Jordan Walker standing out to me to start this season. And then a couple of pitchers as well. Sandy Alcantara is doing what Sandy Alcantara always does. When he's healthy and on his game, I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. It sucks that the manager didn't let him finish to get the complete game, but he's capable of doing that on an every game basis. So Sandy Alcantara for me has been outstanding. And last but not least, Jose Soriano. I mean, the Angels aren't the best team, and obviously the AL West is actually kind of pretty tight right now through these first 2 weeks. But we got to give him some love too. He's been playing and pitching at an all-star level this season. 3-0, an 0.45 ERA, 21 strikeouts. He's only given a 1 earned run through the first 3 starts, and that came against his most recent start against the Braves. But he was still dynamic in that game. I think he went 8 innings or something like that. So he's been outstanding. I mean, there's so many other things I could touch on through the first 2 weeks, but those are the things that like came to mind just like about this season and what we, saw so far.
Oh, I'm right there with you. It has been tremendous what we've been seeing on that front as Jovan Alford, who does such great work over at Total Sports Live, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And how much do you make out of the fact that it just feels like bullpen pitching is at an all-time low as well, because we highlight some of the great hitting, and we've seen some really good starting pitching thus far, but it just feels like the bullpens across the board have been really rough, aside from maybe like the LA Dodgers to this point.
If you're a Dodgers fan, everything's going well for you, right? But like you said, everybody else is running into these problems where the bullpen isn't holding up their end of the bargain. Their starters will go give you 5-6, and then somehow, some way, somebody in the bullpen just implodes and gives up like 2-3, and you're just like, how are we going to win this game and come out of it? But the good thing, I think, with bullpen pitchers across the league, I think once they round into form, a lot of them should figure it out. And bullpen pitching to me is almost like a roller coaster ride. One day you're up, next day you're down, one day you're up, next day you're down. But eventually you get into rhythm, you figure it out, you hit your spots, you get out of clean innings, you kind of set the tone, your role. So bullpen pitching, like you said, it hasn't been the best, and I know people that have probably been betting on baseball have been taking advantage of that. Once, especially if there's a good starter on the mound, you take advantage of it, or if it's a bad starter, you're happy that the bullpen is playing. A particular team's bullpen isn't going well, you can actually capitalize off that. But I think bullpen pitching, like you said, it's a little rocky, just like offenses, right? Offenses and certain hitters are a little up and down rocky for the first couple of weeks, but I think bullpen guys, they will figure it out, hopefully, because they are very valuable as we see coming down into the second half. And even at the trade deadline, we always see a bunch of relievers, coming and going from many different teams.
Oh, we certainly do, and I think that is going to be interesting to look at as well. And I want to touch upon this team because I know that you're out there in the great city of Philadelphia. What have you made out of the Phillies thus far? Because the start of the series went well for them against the San Francisco Giants, but it just feels like the bats have been hot and cold last 26 innings of that series against the Colorado Rockies. They scored a combined 6 runs after scoring 7 runs in the first inning, but it does feel like for the Phillies, who are 6-6, so it's not like the world is ending for them or anything like that. But that said, it just feels like there's been a lot of inconsistency across the board for this team thus far.
Yeah, I think you hit the key word right there, Greg. Inconsistency. I mean, the starting pitching, I would say for the most part, has been pretty solid. Taijuan Walker has had his first inning struggles, his first 2 starts, but this last start I thought he figured it out, only giving up 4 runs, and you would think that'd be enough to beat the Colorado Rockies, but obviously it wasn't. Offensively, I think that's the huge thing with this Phillies team. It starts at the top. 1, 2, 3 have to be hitting. If they're not hitting, then that kind of sets the tone the rest of the way. I thought Bryce Harper during this road trip has had a couple of good swings on the bat. His home run against Colorado I thought was very good. He had a couple of good swings, and I think it was the second game of the Giants series. I thought he looked pretty good there. Trey Turner and his plate approach has been really concerning to me, because I feel like Trey sometimes should be working the count a little bit more instead of going first pitch swinging a lot, especially when you have a guy like Justin Crawford in the 9th spot, the rookie, who's actually been getting on base a lot of times. And Trey is not working the count. He's going first pitch swinging. He just looks off balance. He looks out of place. And they're almost like they're pressing a little bit, which they shouldn't, because they have so much talent. And I think sometimes they have to remind themselves, you don't have to get everything back in one big swing. Like, you can actually play station to station baseball, move guys along, because this team has talent all up and down the order. You're talking about Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Bohm in the cleanup spot, Adolis Garcia, who's had, a couple of good hits during this West Coast trip. And even defensively, he's been outstanding in placing in Castellanos and Stott. I mean, so much talent. Is just the inconsistency that's where they have to figure that out. They have to figure out what's their approach and can they improve on their plate discipline. I feel like those are the things that they have to work on, offensively.
Yep, I think so as well, but I do think that for the Phillies, there is some upside, and when the weather gets warmer, that's going to be able to help them out, as well as Jovan Alford, who does such great work over at Total Sports Live, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, and we've only got 6 games on the board for this Thursday. You always get the small Thursday slates, but is there anything that's standing out to you? Because, as we know, it is a little bit colder out there in the northern part of the country, whether you're in the Midwest or the Northeast, and we've got a few outdoor games, but at the same time, too, we do have a nice cool game out there in San Diego. That'll be helping out a little bit. Anything that's really standing out to you with regards to these 6 games?
Yeah, for me, a couple games that stand out to me on just looking at this slate. Reds Marlins, that series finale there. You got Rhett Lauder on the mound going against Max Meyer. Rhett Lauder, I think he missed all the last season due to injury, but this season he's been pretty good. And I think if you're a Reds fan, you love to see that, especially with Hunter Green out until the summer. So it's good to see, him pitching well. So in that spot, I may be looking at what the odds are going to say for maybe an F5, either run line or money line for the Reds there. Because like I said, he's been great. I mean, last start against the Rangers, 6 shutout innings, 3 hits allowed, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. The Red Sox, who you mentioned earlier, they're struggling, but he had no issues against them. 5 innings pitched, 3 hits allowed, 2 earned runs, which was just a home run, 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. So I'm looking to see what the F5 number might be there in that matchup on Thursday slate. And then an interesting matchup, because I think it's really going to come down to, and we talked about this a couple minutes ago, the bullpens, is this Twins-Tigers game. Jack Flaherty versus Mick Abel, the former Philly. Flaherty haven't really gone the distance in either of his starts, which is kind of concerning. He's only gone 4 innings pitch, and he struggled. He's been a little wild with the 8 walks. So what Jack Flaherty do we see in this matchup against the Twins, especially because the Tigers have struggled against the Twins, this early this season. So that's not a good sign, because I think a lot of people are pretty down on this Twins team. And then Mick Abel, he's also struggled too. A lot of walks, 7 walks within his first 2 starts. Last start against Tampa Bay, 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. So one of these pitchers has to get it together, or we're going to be looking at early bullpen action, for both teams on kind of a getaway game type situation. So those are the 2 matchups for me that are standing out.
Yep, absolutely. And I do think that we're going to be in for a great, small but fun slate of baseball on Thursday. And Jovan, I know you're doing a great job looking at this great sport. You do a great job on so many different fronts out there in the Philadelphia area. Fortunately, the 76ers a little bit better this year than they were a season ago as well. So
yes, they are.
Thank goodness gracious there. But let the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
No, for sure. Always appreciate you having me on, Greg. People can follow me on Twitter at Jovan10. Same thing on Blue Sky as Jovan10. And also TotalSportsLive.com. If you're looking for UFL betting, got a couple betting previews up for week 1 and week 2. We're doing good so far, 7-1 through the first 2 weeks. So we love to see that. And if you're looking for Philly sports as well, it's also on TotalSportsLive.com.
Yep, the newly expanded UFL as well. A few new teams in the fold this year, so that's a lot of fun. And Jovan, he's doing a great job looking at it all. Every single time he joins me, learns such great insight. So big thanks to Jovan for joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Jovan Alford. He does great work over at Total Sports Live, Fansided, and so much more. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights, and did so once again today. So big thanks to Jovan for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that, as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at GNet_D1. We are going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order. If we did have interleague games, they would be at the bottom. We do not have any today, so we'll get things started. 901, 902, it's the Reds. Yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're on to the road against the Miami Marlins. Rhett Lauder looks to make some noise for the Reds, and Max Meyer's on the bump for Miami. Miami does find themselves anywhere between minus 122 to minus 130 favorites, between plus 104 to a plus 116. That number on Cincinnati. 8 is the total. Over and under both at minus 110, and I'm willing to go up to the minus 122 here with the Marlins. Set them at a minus 123. With Max Meyer, certainly had a bit of a shaky year last year. He was giving up about 1.7 home runs per 9 innings, 4.73 ERA, but for Rhett Lauder, even though he's just given up 2 runs in his 11 innings to begin the season, and he was exceptional as well in 2024. That small sample size, he was posting up a sub-2 ERA, but it's never been much of a swing and miss guy. 7.4 strikeouts at 3.3 walks per 9 innings this season. A fielding dependent that's in the neighborhood of about a 379. That indicates that there's going to be a lot of regression here. The Marlins, they entered into the day on Wednesday, averaging about 4.7 runs per game. That's 10th in the league, and while you're not going to have a bunch of super mashers or anything like that for the Miami Marlins, they have been able to have Liam Hicks go off for 3 home runs already. Augustin Ramirez was a guy that hit 20-plus home runs last season. Griffin Conine, I think, is a guy with some upside, along with Owen Cassie, who has really been able to do a nice job for Casey. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. Comes over after being a highly touted prospect for the Cubs, and you've got Xavier Edwards hitting like a 400 right now. And then for the Cincinnati Reds, the offense has been a little bit rough, especially at the bottom. Tyler Stevenson, Cabrian Hayes, Voli Marte hitting below the mid-outside 200. They need a bit more there. And Eugenio Suarez has always been a little bit of an all-or-nothing guy. 49 home runs last year, but not a guy that's going to really move the line. Ellie De La Cruz is, though, and he's been able to give you 3-plus home runs. And though the Reds right now have one of the top bullpens in terms of VRA in the league, I do think that that's going to be going downward. I just don't trust Emilio Pagan at the closer spot. I actually like the pickup of Brock and Roll Burke. He was solid last year with the Angels. Pierce Johnson has had a little bit of a rough start to the season, and the Miami Marlins, I think, is going to be one of the better bullpens in the big leagues as well. Pete Fairbanks is on the paternity list, but John King, sub 350 ERA last season with the St. Louis Cardinals. Andrew Nardi, Calvin Fauché, Anthony Bender, like what these guys are able to bring to the table. So with the Marlins, I did set them here at a minus 123, minus 122 or better, like them on the money line, and I did set my total at 8.1. So at the 8, I am in on the over as well. 903, 904 on the card. It's the Arizona Diamondbacks on the road against the New York Mets. Nolan McLean is on the bump for the Mets. Eduardo Rodriguez goes for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are an underdog between plus 135 to a plus 140, minus 155 to minus 165. That number on the Mets, if you're looking to lay a run half with the Mets, that's more around plus 125 to a plus 135, and totals between 7 and 7.5. On the 7 overs between minus 110 to a minus 120. The under is between even a minus 110. On the 7.5, under is minus 120, and that over is even. And with the Mets, I set them on the money line at a minus 168. Would rather have the run line because Eduardo Rodriguez last year, 5.02 ERA. That fielding independent was more around about a 4.63, but he did have a pretty brutal 2025 season as he was giving up about 1.5 home runs per 9 innings, surrendering 3 walks per 9. Just really hasn't been himself over the last few seasons. And Nolan McLean has dazzled. 2.16 ERA with 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings since he made his MLB debut in late 2025, but does have a 307 fielding independent. Do think that that's going to go northward a little bit, and they do face off against an Arizona Diamondbacks lineup that last year they were 4th in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. They did a solid job in terms of being able to put up some runs yesterday. As got a guy like a Corbin Carroll was able to give you 25 plus homers and north of 340 on base. Same goes for Ketel Marte of the Marte Parte. Geraldo Perdomo hasn't really hit for average this year, but you know that's coming for Gabriel Moreno at the catcher spot. Ilyarmo Vargas has been solid, and they've got a young 22-year-old that they brought in, Jose Fernandez, who's got a pair of bombs, is hitting at 300. Looks like he's going to be the real deal. And then on the flip side for the Mets, they are dealing with the Juan Soto injury, but Luis Robert is already paying dividends for them at a walk-off home run, hitting above a 300. Mark Vientos, he's looking like the Mark Vientos of 2024 after a rough year last year. Francisco Alvarez has been able to get things straightened out. I just don't know if Marcus Semien ever finds it. He was not great with the Rangers. Bo Bichette has been a little bit rough year to start, and so is Francisco Lindor, but Lindor is always a little bit of a slow starter. I trust in the Mets bullpen much more than that of the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks were in the bottom 5 of the big leagues last year in terms of bullpen ERA. AJ Puck still being on the injured list is rough. You do have likes of a Taylor Clark, Ryan Thompson, who I trust in a little bit, but Paul Sewald, he just has been a shaky closer, to say the least, recently, but I do like Jonathan Loaiza, his upside in the bullpen. And then for the Mets, you've got Devin Williams, Luke Weaver as that 8th and 9th inning duo. Obviously, Williams had a rough year last year with the Yankees, but it's looking like he's back to being that guy that we all knew and loved with the Milwaukee Brewers, prior to giving up that home run to Pete Alonso. Oscar Brizobin, he was able to post up a sub 350 ERA last season. Brooks Raley is relatively solid as well. So it is a circumstance where semi-total at 7.9, especially at the 7, do like the over. And for the Mets, I'm willing to take the run line here. I was willing to take anything of a plus 122 or better on that run line. 905, 906 on the card. It's the Rockies, and they're going to be on the road facing off against the San Diego Padres. Randy Vasquez goes for the Padres, and as of right now, it is to be determined for the Colorado Rockies. This game is off the board. For the Rockies, it's expected to be an opener, and then Chase Dollander. They might use him as a starter, but they're expected to use an opener and then Dollander as a bit of a bulk guy, and assuming that's the case, set a total of a 7.8, so I'm going to be in on this total to the under. Randy Vasquez was really giving up a lot of contact last year, about 5.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's looked like a completely different pitcher thus far this season. For one, Mr. Randy Vasquez, he's done a nice job in his first 2 starts of the season, getting 11 strikeouts in 12 innings, so the deception is going up with him. He had a 3.86 ERA with a 4.85 fielding dependent last season, but he does look like he's been able to improve, and now gets to go up against a Rockies team that last year they were averaging about 2.7 runs per game away from home. Dead stinking last in all baseball, and typically for the Rockies, they experience an on-base percentage drop of about 80 points when they leave home, and now they're having to travel from elevation as they played at home yesterday, so that affects them all the more. Like you do have Mickey Moniak, who's right now hitting above a 285, but I am for he and Jordan Beck. They both had very demonstrative home and road splits last season. Beck last year was hitting less than a $175 when he was away from home. Mickey Moniak is another guy that had those big home and road splits last season, was hitting about a 230 away from home with 9 home runs, 15 home runs at home with hitting above a 300. So that was about a 73-point split with regards to that. Now I do like TJ Romfield. He's a young guy with some upside. Hunter Goodman, he's a good catcher as well, at 25 plus home runs and was able to get away from home. And the Rockies bullpen actually does appear to be the real deal. Zach Ognos was the lone guy that they used up yesterday, and you got the likes of Juan Mejia, Jimmy Harrigan, Victor Vodnik that posted up a sub 450 ERA last season. Antonio Sensatel's actually been good in the bullpen. Brandon Bernardino was a good pickup, and for the San Diego Padres last year, they were numero uno in all baseball with regards to their bullpen ERA as well. Deal with an injury to Jason Adam, and Audrey Motorhone has been a little bit up and down along Jeremiah Estrada to begin the season, but both these guys had a sub 350 ERA last season. Mason Miller is a real deal at the closer spot. I've always liked Ron Menadaccio, and I do think that for Jake Cronenworth, coupled with Jackson Merrill after having down years last year, and a little bit slow to start this season, they're going to be able to pick it up a little bit. Nick Castellanos has been a nice platoon guy. He's yet to hit a home run, but 5 RBI, hitting above a 260. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., always good for 25 plus home runs. So I do think that the Padres do a nice job getting to a guy in Dollander who, for his career, it just has not gone well for him ever since he made his debut early in 2025. He's got a lifetime 6.44 ERA, 1.8 home runs, 4.4 walks per 9 innings, but significantly better away from home. 3.86 ERA, 1.4 home runs allowed per 9 innings. So set a total of 7.8 here at the 8 plus, like the under. And with the Padres willing to go up to a minus 119 on the run line. Right now I'm seeing that more around about a plus 115, plus 120. So going to take that plus money run line to go along with the under. 907, 908. The Athletics are on the road against the Yankees. Ryan Weathers hopes to weathers the storm for the Yankees, and you've got Jeffrey Springs going for the Athletics, and this total is 8. The over is between minus 110 to a minus 115. Under is between minus 105 to a minus 110. Yankees between minus 190 to minus 207 favorites. If you're looking to lay the run line, that's between plus 105 to a plus 115. And for the Athletics, between plus 160 to a plus 170 is that number on them. Is that the Yankees money line at a minus 122? Would rather take the run line. I was willing to lay up to a minus 113 on the run line. Ryan Weathers was a little bit shaky last season as he was dealing with a lot of injury. 3.99 ERA, give it up darn near 1.6 home runs per 9 innings, but did have a career high about 8.7 strikeouts per 9 innings. And for Jeffrey Springs, he was giving up a home run and a half per 9 innings as well last year. 4.11 ERA, 4.65 fielding dependent. We'll say he was better away from home rather than at home last season, but now faces off against a Yankees team that they led the big leagues in terms of runs per game 8 seasons ago, and it just appears as though there's a little bit more balance this season. Obviously, Aaron Judge is going to do Aaron Judge things. He's already got 3+ home runs after that rough first game of the season. He has been able to get right back online. Trent Grisham has had a little bit of a slow start to the season. It's coming from, but Ben Rice, Giancarlo Stanton, both hitting above a 335 with some good power. That is helping them out. Ahmed Rosario already has a pair of home runs. He's helping out an infield that has been shaky with Ryan McMahon getting off to a slow start. Anthony Volpe's on the injured list. Jazz Chisholm has been a little bit up and down, but it's coming for these guys. And Cody Bellinger is a guy that's able to move the line for the Athletics. They've been averaging fewer than 3 runs per game away from them. I do think that you see some improvement here. We've seen the likes of Jacob Wilson, Brent Rooker, Lawrence Butler, Nick Kurtz all below 225 to begin the season. I think these guys are going to be a little bit better. Denzel Clark has been a little bit rough. That's not totally unexpected, but what is expected is for the A's bullpen to be a little bit rough as well. They were a bottom 6 team in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA last season, and Mark Leiter Jr., Scott Barlow, these are guys that are very untrustworthy. Elvis Alvarado had a sub-4 ERA last season, same with Hogan Harris, but when those are your more trustworthy guys, that's a little bit of an issue. Do think that you get runs in this game, despite the fact that it's cold out there in New York. Somebody told it an 8.8, so like the over, and with the Yankees, willing to lay up to a -112 on that run line. 9-9, 9-10. The Tigers are going to be on the road against the Twins. Mick Abel is on the bump for the Twins, and Captain Jack Flaherty is on the bump for the Tigres, and the Tigers, who find themselves as a mid-tier favorite, anywhere between -126 to -136, +108 to +116. That number on Minnesota, 8 to 8.5 is the total on the 8.5. Unders -120, the overs even on the 8. Overs between -110 to -115. Unders between -105 to -110, and I do like the over, so I might tell it at 8.4, so on anything of an 8, I'm going to be looking at that over. For Jack Flaherty, he was giving up 1.3 home runs per 9 innings last season. I do think that he's doing for a little bit of positivity. You take a look at that ERA that he was posting up at a 4.64. That was paired up with a 3.85 fielding dependent with 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. And for Mick Abel, he just has not found it at the big league level. 6.99 ERA, 1.6 home runs, 4.5 walks allowed per 9 innings since the start of the 2025 season when he got called up to the big league level, and have a Twins bullpen that last year was 26th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. I think that they could be a little bit better this year. A guy like a Justin Topa supplied a sub-4 ERA. I don't think that Cody Funderburk is amazing, but at the same time, I don't think that he's bad either. They pick up Taylor Rogers. They did get some reinforcements, and I do think that for the Tigers, they're going to be able to have themselves a relatively nice season as well in the bullpen. It was really good for them when they made the playoffs in 2024. Took a little bit of a dip in 2025, but still have the likes of the main guys from that core, Will Vest, Brent Herter, Tyler Holton, all supplied a sub-350 ERA last season. Kyle Finnegan was a nice pickup at the deadline. Do not trust in Kenley Jansen whatsoever, but also have a Tigers lineup that they've got really good balance in general. 1 through 9, you really don't have one easy out in the lineup. Javi Baez is starting to pick it up once again. You've got a guy like a Dylan Dingler who was able to hit for some power. He's able to give you over a 330 on base. Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson last year at 30-plus home runs. Kevin McGonigal's not hitting for power, but he's doing a great job getting on base along Cole Keith. And for the Twins, they've had Byron Buxton get off to a rough start to the season. He and Royce Lewis both are hitting below the Mendoza line of 200. That's going to be going northward. Lucas Shaw, he was able to hit about a 300 in a small sample size last year. And you've got some wallop with Matt Wallner along Cody Clemens. Both guys hit 20-plus home runs last year, but both guys hit below a 230. Josh Bell's actually been able to move line. He had a very rough start to the season last year, and then he picked it up with regards to his average in the second half of the season. So I do think that you're going to get runs in this game, but I think that Mick Abel, he's just still not ready for the big league level, and I think that the Tigers get to him nicely here. Set the Tigers money line at a -159, like that money line, and the over. Somebody told it at 8.4. Wrap things up with 9-11, 9-12. The White Sox are on the road against the Royals. Seth Lugo goes for the Royals, and Anthony K says okay to another start. 9 to 9.5 is the total. On the 9.5, unders -120. The overs even. On the 9, overs between -110 to a -125. Unders between -110 to +105. And if you're looking at the Royals, they're between -178 to -190 on the money line. Run line's more around +110 to a +115. And for the White Sox, that's between +150 to +160 on the money line. For the Royals, I was willing to take pretty much any sort of plus money on that run line. Set the money line at a -184. So I'm going to be looking at that run line for Seth Lugo. While he did have a respectable ERA last year, the fielding dependent does indicate a bit of regression. 4.15 ERA, 1.7 home runs, 3.4 walks per 9 innings. So he had a fielding dependent that was right around about a 5, but he did post up a 361 home ERA compared to a 471 away from home. We'll say they moved the fences in at Kauffman Stadium this year, so that might be hurting him a little bit, but I think that he returns the guy that we all know and love a little bit more this season. And for Anthony K, man, he has given up a lot of contact here since returning to the States, as he spent the last 2 years in the Nippon Baseball League, where there's just not a lot of power hitting. You don't get a ton of strikeouts, but guys aren't necessarily going to wallop the ball. He has, thus far in his 2 appearances, because they actually used an opener for him in one of his starts, he has given up 4 runs over the course of 9 innings, but he's only got 5 strikeouts to 6 walks in that time span. He's rated a lot of pair of home runs, so 693 fielding dependent. That shows that he might be doing for some negative regression, and while the Royals I don't think is going to be an amazing offense, they were dead last year in terms of runs per game at home. I do think that goes northward. Carter Jensen, since he overslept, he has been hitting above a 400 ever since that day, so he's been able to pick it up. Miguel Garcia, he's been able to hit about a 300 for the team. You're getting a little bit of an all-or-nothing sort of hitter in Salvador Perez right now. He just has been hitting for a lot of home runs and not much else. Jonathan India, Starling Marte at the bottom of the lineup need a little bit more there, and Bobby Witt Jr., he's starting to be able to pick it up as well. Hasn't really hit the deep ball, but a 365 on base. You know that he's going to give you 20-plus bombs this season. Then on the flip side, you've got a White Sox team that they do a nice job in terms of not striking out. The power isn't necessarily there. Sans the, shall we say, foreign import in Murakami. He's already been able to give the team 4 home runs, not hitting for a ton of average, but I think that that's going to be coming sooner rather than later. Colson Montgomery, Andrew Benintendi, both guys hit for above a 240 last year with 20-plus home runs. They've had shaky starts to the season. Miguel Vargas had that great 6 RBI game, but other than that, hasn't done a ton. I do think that they did get a little bit of a sneaky pickup, though, in Dustin Harris, so he's looking like the real deal. He's been able to give the team a few hits, so that's been solid, but it's not solid, this White Sox bullpen. When you have Sir Anthony Dominguez as your closer, that's not great. They had to use up quite a few bullpen pieces in that series against the Orioles. Grant Taylor has actually been a solid opener if they do use him in front of Anthony Kay, but Jordan Hicks looks washed. Sean Newcomb should not be in a MLB bullpen right now. Chris Murphy was actually solid with the Red Sox last season, but he's looking very uncomfortable out there. And then on the other end for the Royals, they are dealing with a little bit of an injury to Carlos Estevez, but Lucas Erceg, he still is able to do a nice job closing out games. Nick Mears was very solid with Brewers last season. Daniel Lynch is able to give you multiple innings, so I do think that the Royals go out there, get the job done. Did set my run line to where any sort of plus money, I was willing to dive in there. I did set my total at 9.2. Between the 9 to a 9.5, I'd rather have the 9 over rather than the 9.5 under with that White Sox bullpen, so looking at the over and the Royals run line, and that'll wrap things up for the Thursday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Big thanks to Jovan Alford. He does such great work over at Total Sports Live, along with Fansided. He joined me in the last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, do have 1 or 2 ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at GUnit_D1. Keep in mind, letters EM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. And the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review, and I'm with you guys every single day, giving you guys picks and analysis on every single game every single day, so I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you so much.